The quantum resonance detector screamed its warning across the bridge of the UES Defiance, but Captain Sarah Chen already knew what it meant. The hegemony had found them. Contact bearing 270, distance approximately 4,000 kilometers, reported Lieutenant Torres from the sensor station, his voice tight with controlled fear. It's massive, Captain. Dreadnought class, maybe bigger. Chen stood from her command chair, her weathered hands gripping the armrests. 3 months. 3 months since the galactic hegemony had declared humanity a hostile aberration and begun their systematic extermination campaign. Earth was gone, reduced to radioactive slag by orbital bombardment. The colonial worlds had fallen one by one, their populations either vaporized or enslaved. Now only scattered human fleets remained, running, hiding, slowly being hunted to extinction. "They're hailing us," Communications Officer Park announced, her voice barely above a whisper. On screen, the view screen flickered to life, revealing the cold, crystalline features of a hegemony war chancellor. Its 4 eyes glowed with bioluminescent hatred as it spoke in the universal translator's monotone voice. "Human vessel, you will surrender immediately. Your species has been judged incompatible with galactic civilization. Submit to processing, and your death will be swift." Chen stepped forward, her jaw set. Behind her, the bridge crew of 43 souls, all that remained of Battle Group Terran, waited for her response. She thought of her daughter on New Geneva, vaporized in the first wave. Of her husband on Mars, who died defending the orbital platforms. Of the billions of human voices that would never speak again. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth ship Defiance," she said, her voice carrying across the bridge like steel. "I have a message for your War Chancellor and the entire hegemony." The alien's features shifted in what might have been amusement. "Speak your final words, human." Chen smiled, a predator's smile that had once made pirates think twice about attacking her merchant convoys. "We didn't start this war, but we're sure as hell going to finish it." The transmission cut. "Captain!" Torres called out, his voice rising with urgency. "I'm reading massive energy buildup in their forward arrays. They're preparing to fire." "All stop," Chen ordered. "Cut engines. Full power to shields and weapons." The Defiance had been a cargo hauler once, retrofitted with military-grade shields and torpedo tubes when the war began. She wasn't pretty, wasn't fast, and certainly wasn't a match for a hegemony dreadnought. But she was human-built, which meant she was stubborn, over-engineered, and refused to die quietly. The space around them erupted in azure fire as the hegemony ship opened up with its primary batteries. Energy beams that could crack a moon's crust slammed into the Defiance's shields, sending ripples of force through the hull that threw the crew against their restraints. "Shields at 60%, reported Engineer Martinez from his station. "Hull integrity holding, but we can't take much more of this." "Return fire," Chen ordered. "All tubes, full spread." The Defiance answered with her own voice. 6 fusion torpedoes racing across the void like burning stars. They impacted against the dreadnought's shields in brilliant flashes, but the alien vessel barely shuddered. "Their shields are still at 97%, Torres reported grimly. Chen closed her eyes for a moment, thinking. The hegemony had superior technology, superior numbers, superior everything. But they had one critical flaw. They didn't understand humans. They saw humanity as just another species to be conquered or eliminated. They didn't understand that humans had spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of killing things bigger than themselves. "Torres, Do we still have those mining charges in Cargo Bay 7? Yes, Captain. 24 fusion mining charges, rated for asteroid work. How long to rig them into a makeshift warhead? Martinez looked up from his console, understanding dawning in his eyes. Maybe 10 minutes if we bypass the safety protocols. Do it! Park, open a channel to all remaining human vessels in the system. Channel open, Captain. Chen stood straighter, addressing not just her crew but the handful of human ships scattered across the star system, freighters, miners, a few patrol boats, all that remained of humanity's presence in the Kepler 442 system. This is Captain Chen to all human vessels. We've found their flagship. It's time to remind the galaxy what happens when you corner a human. She paused, her voice dropping to a whisper that somehow carried more weight than a shout. For Earth, for our children, for every human soul they've murdered. The responses came back one by one, 12 ships in total, none of them warships. All of them crewed by people who had already lost everything. The hegemony dreadnought fired again, and this time the Defiance's shields collapsed entirely. The hull screamed as energy beams carved through the outer decks, venting atmosphere into space. "Charges ready, Captain," Martinez reported. "All vessels commence attack run. Target their shield generators." What followed could barely be called a battle. It was more like a swarm of angry bees attacking a bear. The human ships came in from all vectors, firing everything they had: torpedo tubes, mining lasers, even emergency flares. Most of their weapons couldn't even scratch the dreadnought's armor, but they didn't need to. They just needed to distract it. The Defiance screamed in at full throttle, her reactor redlined beyond safety margins, her hull trailing debris and atmosphere. The hegemony ship's defensive batteries tracked her, tearing chunks from her superstructure. But Chen had learned something during 30 years in space. Sometimes you had to get close enough to spit in their eye. 500 meters and closing, Torres called out. Impact in 10 seconds, Martinez added. Chen gripped her command chair as the ship shuddered around her. Through the view screen, she could see the massive hull of the hegemony dreadnought growing larger, its alien architecture bristling with weapons that could exterminate worlds. "Captain," Park said quietly. "Message from the Free Spirit. Captain Williams says it's been an honor." Chen nodded, tears threatening to blur her vision. "Tell him the honor was mine." The Defiance struck the dreadnought's hull like a meteor, her improvised warhead detonating in a fusion fire that could be seen from orbit. The explosion tore through both ships, vaporizing the human vessel instantly and carving a massive wound in the alien dreadnought's flank. But Captain Sarah Chen had calculated correctly. The mining charges had been designed to crack asteroids, and alien hull armor, no matter how advanced, followed the same basic principles of physics. The explosion chain reacted through the dreadnought's power systems, turning the massive warship into a brief, brilliant star. In the aftermath, 11 human ships limped away from the expanding debris field. They had lost friends, family, their last real warship. But they had also sent a message that would echo across the galaxy. The hegemony had fired the first shot when they destroyed Earth. But humanity would always, always fire the last one. Word of the battle spread through the underground networks that connected the scattered human survivors. A cargo hauler had killed a dreadnought. 43 humans had stood against a ship that could exterminate planets, and they had won. The galaxy began to remember something it had forgotten. That humans didn't fight wars like other species. They didn't calculate odds or weigh strategic advantages. When pushed to the brink, they simply refused to die quietly. And in the Outer Rim territories, where human survivors still clung to life in hidden bases and asteroid colonies, a new rallying cry was born. Not a boast or a threat, but a simple statement of fact that made alien admirals pause before attacking human settlements. The first shot wasn't ours. The last one was.